Hello. So we're now going to look at the NOOF machine. So I'm just dragging this component, the NOOF machine single, which is right there. Again, you can completely disregard the default and just draft the minimum path that you want to consider. So just a 4-point segment. And then make sure that we extract by right-clicking on the CRV parameter, that we extract the parameter itself, create an independent component, right-click to set one curve and select the curve that we have drafted, which gives us this. So the profile of lofting that you see over here follows the parameters that are specified in the cross-section DIM, W and H. So what this is a series of pairs, one for the width, one for the height, which we can simply redraft as a panel right there. Okay, a panel with, let's go for 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, so 3 segments of 7 units wide, 5 units high. It's very important that you right-click on the panel and make sure that it's typed as multi-line data. Otherwise, the list will not be properly translated. And once you've done this, you can route it again in the WH parameter to override the existing settings. So you see now we have 3 segments, which are 7 units wide and 5 units high. So we can scale this up a bit. So I'm going to scale the actual curve, of course, which is the original part of the component. And then you see, of course, everything is associative. And now I'm going to simply show you how we can modify, for instance, the height of the last segment. You see, to get the third and last segment is now 7 units wide, 15 units high. And then the whole thing, of course, is continuous. So maybe 15 is a bit much. Actually, that's okay. Let's leave it there. Okay, so then we have the rest of the parameters of the NOOF. The first one is whether you want to open or close the curve. So that's a Boolean toggle, like this, which I'm going to copy and paste because we're going to need more than one. So I'm going to route this here. And of course, if the toggle is false, then the curve is open. If it's true, the curve is closed and the solid is obviously completed. The next thing, the next parameter to look at is the offset direction, which is also a Boolean toggle. So for this, I'm going to highlight the curve and show you what happens if we route the Boolean toggle here, which is that at the moment, you see, it's offset on the right because the value is set to 0. But if we set back the value to 1, then you offset inward, as it were. So you can choose, having drafted your profile, which way you want to loft it. So I'm going to loft it out like this. And finally, the last parameter is the actual loft type, which is a series of keys. So they're integers from 0 to 5. Okay, I'm going to start with 3, which is the one that we actually are looking at right now. Just going to route it, and you see this is 1. But then if we go to 2, we're lofting a smooth curve, you see, with various sort of weights. So you get different types of lofts, if you like, that you can experiment with. I'm going to stay to this, this continuous one. And that's it. Having done this now, we just need to look at what we have created. So this is a lofted object. And the next thing to do is to go back to the NOOF palette and help ourselves with the NOOF negative box, which is right there. I'm just going to drag it over here. And in order to use it, I need to route B into B. In other words, collect my brep and feed it into the brep parameter of this. And then what you see here is an associative volume, which we need to understand. So it's got 3 parameters of its own right. They are percentages of the overall width. So the first thing to do is to make sure that we scale it properly about the z-axis. Okay, so that's the about the xy plane, which is this parameter here. So it's a percentage. So again, a real number between 0 and 1. So if we go to 1 and we write this, you see, I'm going to highlight that. You see how it's now literally the full bounding box, and then if you decrease the percentage, then the bounding box is decreasing correspondingly. We have another scale as well right here for the z-axis. So you see, if we are at 100%, the bounding box right there matches the elevation of the NOOF right there. Okay, and if we are at 50%, well, it's sort of twice as thin, and it's centered on the actual centroid of the shape. So I'm going to leave the 100% here, 100% maybe a little less over there. And what I'm going to do is now go back to my other parameters and then maybe try another loft type, like this one, which is a little more intense. Okay, you see? So what happens here now is that we have two breps. We have the NOOF single, which is the one we created in the first place, then the negative box, which is there. And just to show you, I'm going to now bake this one, see, and turn grasshopper off, switch the display mode to Arctic, and see how fast we created this rather interesting subtractive operation. So because the bounding box does not fully overlap with the NOOF, it doesn't actually look like a completely subtractive volume. It's more like a sort of removal, but you know, I think it does do exactly what it says. Thank you.